I'll go ahead and get this started. There's several speakers that will be here this morning, this afternoon. My name is Bob Burns, Mayor of the City of Marshall. It's my pleasure to kick this off. There's several themes that are going to be part of this morning. First off, one of the themes is trees. Another is Earth Day. President Gores will speak about that. Community, diversity, service, and I'd also add one other, partnership. This has been a partnership between City of Marshall, Southwest Minnesota State University, the Marshall Community Foundation, several private businesses, Awards Plus, Brian, raise your hand, the Bend Right Fabrication, worked with Preston Stensrud on a number of the parts of this project. I'll talk about the tree part of the project. Of course, this road was reconstructed last year. It was narrowed up, and the ditches were removed. The bike and pedestrian way was added, and there's trees that were added as a buffer in between the traffic and the pedestrians and bikes. And those trees represent, I believe there's 84 plantings that are here, and they represent different species of trees and shrubs. And there's identifiers that are on the, from this direction all the way up to Southview, identifiers that are on each of the plantings. And one of the reasons for that is education and showing the diversity of plantings that we can have in the community. It's inevitable that when emerald ash borer does arrive in this region, that that will eliminate all of the ash trees in the community, unless barring something that would cure that or prevent that. But that's already in about half a dozen counties in the state of Minnesota already, and so it's inevitable that will come. That's a concern because over half of the trees in the city of Marshall are ash trees. So homeowners and property owners are, will be faced with replacing those trees. And this is an opportunity to really check out what different trees are appropriate for this area. So these trees, the species were selected because those are trees that fit well into an urban type environment where you have automobiles and exhaust, and you also have somewhat of a harsh environment. It's windy every now and then, and it gets cold in the winter, and it gets hot in the summer. So not every tree will do well in that environment. So the trees that are represented, or the species that are represented along here, and Preston, if I miss any, you can correct me. But there's a species of linden trees. That's a basswood type tree. It's a large shade tree. It's a pyramid type shape when it gets mature. There's a species of Norway maple, and this is a maple that not only has good fall color, but it also is a deeper rooted tree, so it isn't going to be the shallow roots that you might see from a soft maple. It's also a type of maple that doesn't have a sap freeze. That was a problem with some of the early species of Norway maples. There's an oak that's along here. That's a slower growing tree, but certainly a majestic type tree. There's an elm, species of elm that's here, Princeton elm, and that's a variety of elm that's resistant to Dutch elm disease, which is, elms were the predominant tree that was planted in many of our communities prior to the ash tree, and then most of them died when Dutch elm disease came along. Well, this is a species that will survive, is resistant to Dutch elm disease, and that's a good thing because those are trees that are native to this area, do well in our environment and in our soil and that type of thing. There's also a river birch behind the audience here. There's the birch trees. What am I missing? There's a locust. That's more of a kind of a finer, not as much shade on that. You can almost see through it, more of an ornamental type, but a very large tree. There's a couple ornamental trees, crab apple trees don't have fruit on them. Fortunately, they'll just be the and then there's also a Colorado spruce trees are mixed in along here. So anyway, I don't want to go too. We can talk a lot more about trees later, but the point is that is that this will be an area where people can walk along, learn a little bit about trees, and then when they need to make a selection, they'll be knowledgeable about this might be a choice, or there might be other choices that they can make. So with that, that was a major part of the project. One part of the project was the identifiers of that. So thank you to Preston Stensrud, our park superintendent, for his work in working with Cole and the SMSU community in planning that part of it. Also working with the vendors that provided the material. That includes Ben Wright Fabrication that donated their time, Awards Plus that donated to printing, and of course Marshall Community Foundation that we'll hear from in a bit that provided the financial base to get this done. With that, I want to turn it to President Gores, who will talk a bit about the Earth Day component.
I will.
Connie?
Thank you, Mayor Burns. Thank you very much for that lesson on trees as well, because I learned a lot, and I look forward to returning here many times, especially to see how these trees grow and develop, and hopefully I'll become as adept at you in knowing which one is which, because right now I don't. But anyway, we'll learn that, so thank you. Well, it's wonderful to be here today and to see everybody. I want to say welcome on behalf of SMSU and our students and our staff and everyone who has worked so hard on this project and to develop this project with the focus on the diversity of tree species and the focus on our community partnership and SMSU and Marshall coming together to celebrate and serve through the ditch cleanup and through service. So as the mayor said, I'm going to talk a little bit today about Earth Day. Some of you might recall in my remarks at my inauguration, and actually the theme of my inauguration a couple of years ago was focused on the prairie, the people, and the possibilities. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about each of those, not necessarily in that order, but I'll talk a little bit about each of those because it's really a day to celebrate the people, the prairie, the possibilities. So in terms of the people, if I could ask Cole Wilson, can you just come over here and stand by me for a minute, please? So, and this way I'll feel small too. See? Yeah, I look sort of diminutive here. But anyway, so Cole is one of our students, and I think most of you know that he worked with Mayor Burns, Kathy Lee, with Preston Stensrud, and the City of Marshall on this project. And I was really fortunate a couple weeks ago to have lunch with Cole and learn about how this project really developed. And I'm just really proud of you and all your work toward getting this done. So I want to thank you and for this. So thank you to the students and to the staff who have planned. Thank you. Who've carried out the project to get us to this day in which we celebrate the earth, the community, and the diversity represented. So secondly, the prairie and National Earth Day. And so I do have to have some notes here because there are some details here that even though I was alive at this time and remember some of this, I don't have quite the detail here. So I don't know if you all know that National Earth Day is celebrated each year on April 22nd, today. The annual day is held to demonstrate our support for environmental protection. The concept of Earth Day was established at 1969 at a UNESCO conference in San Francisco. And this is the day I do remember. On March 21st, 1970, a sanctioned proclamation was signed by Secretary General U Thant at the United Nations. And then on April 22nd, 1970, it was the very first Earth Day, and it was U.S. Senator Gaylord Nelson actually founded Earth Day, April 22nd, 1970. So those of us in the audience who are old enough to remember that day, we might also have memories of that first Earth Day. And so third, it's about the possibilities. And again, I continue to be amazed at Marshall and how we work together and how we're dreamers and we're doers, and how with a good idea and going to work with the right people and talking about how we can make things happen, that we continue to make things happen that benefit the community and our region and ultimately the broader world. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who helped make this possible. You'll hear from a few more people in a minute, but it's certainly about the people, the prairie, and the possibilities. So thank you for that. And now it's my task to introduce our next speaker, Paul Stoneberg, who, as you know, is the president of the Marshall Community Foundation. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Connie.
You're welcome.
I'm here on behalf of the board of the Marshall Community Foundation. We've got a couple board members here today, Colette, Stacy, and we're here to say thank you to those who are responsible for this project, the SMSU students, Cole, the city, and just say thank you. And then to demonstrate our support for it, we did award a grant of $1,530 that helps to pay for the peace pole and the tree markers and so forth. So thank you so much. The Marshall Community Foundation is a little over 10 years old now. We started, it was probably kind of an initiative of Schwann. Schwann's put up a $100,000 matching grant. To date, we're up to about $330,000 in our endowment fund, and that's our main purpose, is to establish an endowment, a savings account, you could say, for our community. You know, what's Marshall going to be like, 30, 40 years from now when these trees are kind of fully grown? What's it going to be like? We don't really know. We don't know some of the needs we'll have at that point. Hopefully, through an endowment, that those funds will be available for those needs. We're trying to enrich the quality of life here. These are gifts that are in perpetuity, really. It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's not like Eddie and Christmas Vacation, not the what is it, the jam of the month? Jam of the month. It's not like that. It's better than that. So up to date, we've given away about $80,000 in grants to various things in the community, and we hope to continue to do that. Our areas of focus are community improvement, diversity, youth development, and wellness. And when Cole put together this grant application to us, it fits several of those primary areas of focus. So we thought it was just an excellent project to support. So again, thank you to all those who have contributed. We're always looking for contributions to build that endowment and to build for the future needs of our community. So we're going to turn it over to Michelle Knife-Sterner. She's the Associate Director of the Office of Access, Opportunity, and Success at SMSU. Michelle.
Thank you, Paul. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Peace Pole. Peace poles are recognized as the most prominent international symbol of monument to peace. In late 1955, the late Masahisa Goi of Japan authored May Peace Prevail on Earth, which began a global movement for the attainment of inner and outer peace. By 1976, the actual peace pole movement had begun, where communities were placing poles into the earth and celebrating peace. Today, there are over 200,000 peace poles worldwide, and peace poles, they share and are recognized by many communities of being one of bringing peace. The peace poles on Earth are made up of many languages, and today, like I said, 200,000 different languages utilized on those peace poles represent a very global community. In our own community of Marshall, our peace pole has a representation of Hmong, Somalian, Spanish, and Lakota, and of course we have the plaque with the English translation on there as well. I would like to pronounce the translation in Lakota, so I'd like to ask, in Spanish, I'd like to ask Marley Sid, our graduate assistant, to come and say it in Spanish for you.
Que la paz prevalezca en la tierra. May peace prevail on earth.
Thank you, Marley. And in Lakota, we have Wowahala Maka Akunue. May peace prevail on earth. The Peace Pole is a way of bringing people together to inspire and awake and uplift the human consciousness of the world. In the Marshall community, it reflects our global community and its connectedness to the outside world. So thank you. It is my pleasure now to introduce my direct supervisor, as well as the Director of Access, Opportunity, and Success, and of Diversity Inclusion at SMSU, Jefferson Lee IV.
Thank you, Michelle. Well, I have the privilege of talking about civic engagement and civic service. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to everyone for coming and being a part of this event. I also want to congratulate Cole, the students of Southwest Minnesota State, the community, for being a part of this and participating in the ditch cleaning ceremony afterwards activity. Also want to talk about SMSU's mission and commitment to civic engagement for our students' civic service. So in doing that, I want to quote a part of the mission statement. It says, Southwest Minnesota State University prepares students to meet the complex challenges of the century as engaged citizens in their local and global communities. I also want to point out that we have a Civic Engagement Center that is the co-coordinators are Dr. Christine Olson and also Dr. Scott Peterson. And the mission of the Civic Engagement mission is to support the SMSU mission. The Center for Engagement connects academic programs with community needs to use scholarship action for the mutual benefit of the university, its communities, and its diverse peoples. The center serves as the intersection between the student learning, faculty research, and community engagement. It is committed to illuminating the variety of ways in which SMSU strives to make civic and community engagement an integral part and learning experience for campus-wide. So what does civic engagement mean? Well, according to Civic Responsibility in Higher Education, edited by Thomas Elridge, published by Orc Press, civic engagement means working to make a difference in the civic life of our communities and developing the combination of knowledge, skills, values, and motivation to make that difference. It means promoting the quality of life in a community through both political and non-political processes. A morally and civically responsible individual recognizes himself or herself as a member of a larger society fabric and therefore considers social problems to be at least partly his or her own, such as a civic judgment, and to take action when appropriate. So I just wanted to share what civic engagement means, civic service, and how we are committed to it at Southwest and working with the SMSU and Marshall community and being partners. Also wanted to say that we want to encourage you all to be a part of the MLK Day of Service. Marshall community played a big part in that last year. We hope to do that again next year and hope that you all will come out and join us. And finally, I have to share that we are at the conclusion of this program. We and our students are going to go and clean ditches, and you're welcome to join us. So thank you.